welcome everyone. I appreciate you guys jumping on to our first Wealth Tank conversation on financial wealth creation. And I am your host, Mark Caesar. I appreciate everyone who's jumped on, and of course, as you have an amazing panel of women on today. Will be we will just be having a simple conversation on financial literacy, wealth creation, and everything in between. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys who are jumping on right now are very familiar with ladies. You might see three right now. We're still waiting. We do have some technical difficulties, and we apologize, but she will jump on as soon as she can. Um, but introduce themselves for those who don't know them. We have Miss Aubrey Grimsley, we have Miss Nicole Pendergrass, Miss Nicole, and we have missing in action for the time being, Miss Keisha Kennedy. So I'll let you guys background on who you are, what it is that you do, and we'll take it from there. In no particular order, whoever want to read first.
Let you go, good. Black Queen Thriving.
Okay, so I am Nicole Pendergrass. Hi, everyone. I am a multifamily investor. I'm starting off small with some units that I'm in the position or in the process of repositioning. I've been studying and trying to get my grasp on wealth building and how that affects our communities and how we can change the narrative moving forward. And since I've been really involved with not just real estate, but just that whole mindset about owning assets and creating wealth long term, I've been figuring out ways to get involved with people in the community and help them do the same thing. And I've really personally experienced the power of multifamily and real estate and how it's changed my life in just a few short years. And I just think anybody should not miss out on the opportunity. I don't care how hot the market is right now. We need to get our plans in action and change this narrative because the wealth gap is just way too wide. It's getting bigger, and all the news and stats that I'm hearing about how big it's going to be in the future, if we don't do something about it, really concerns me. And so I'm doing whatever I can to help people get started and get involved with wealth building, purchasing assets in however way that I can help. So I'm always open to having phone calls and directing people and helping people get started with their plans. So that's all what I'm about, is helping our communities get started with generational wealth building.
Cool, good stuff. Well, I guess I'll go next. Follow up with Ms. Nicole G. Go right ahead. So my name is Nicole Gauthier. I'm the founder of Wicked Holdings, which is a real estate investment company. I am a advocate for social change and empowering other individuals to gaining generational wealth and financial literacy skills. I invested in the residential space, but I'm also growing in the multifamily side, and have been just a huge proponent for, getting passive investors invested in multifamily and growing their generational wealth. And at the same time, I just love to be able to educate other people in the space, educate on not only real estate, but the concepts of generational wealth, financial literacy skills, and just diving deep so that people really have that that knowledge and that understanding to really just gain that financial independence and freedom.
Miss Aubrey Grimsley, I'll let you have the honor.
Hello, everyone. It's always a great day to have a great day. I'm very big on positive energy because I believe you control three things: a maximum amount of effort, maximum amount of energy, and come with a maximum great attitude, because it's always phenomenal. I actually actively and passively invest in multifamily, self-storage, and parking garages. I've actively and or passively invested in over 1,700 units. So I have a pretty good knowledge of what it is that I'm looking for, I'm not looking for. That includes people as well. So I always have an open door policy, open communication policy, to where that if I can assist or add value to you in any way, please reach out to me and connect with me. I love connecting with phenomenal individuals. I went as far as starting a college prep private school with a business partner of mine because I'm so passionate about education and giving back to the local communities. My three tiers are education, sports, and commercial real estate. So if I could be of value in any way to anyone, please feel free to reach out to me. And we are all BBWWs, Black, beautiful, wealthy women.
I like that.
Awesome. Yes. And welcome, Miss Keisha Kennedy. Glad to.
Hi, thank you for having me. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but my name is Keisha Kennedy. I actually reside in Kuwait, but I am from the Richmond, Virginia area. And my reason for investing in commercial assets is to help as many people as possible, especially the minorities and fellow veterans. I am a veteran and I have served in the military. My family has served as well. And so I am really honored to be here today with my fellow Black women investors. It's truly an honor to sit on this panel and discuss, gap in minorities. I'll just keep it short.
I'm excited for you to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm very happy to have all of you ladies on here. It is I think this is a great way to have a conversation that I'm pretty sure we all have heard this conversation on, but having continuing that thread is important, especially in the climate that we're in right now. Let's kick it off with just a few questions. Not too long, but the first thing being that this is Black History Month and this is financial literacy. One of the questions that I have is, what is financial literacy? I don't think too many people understand understand the embodiment of that term, and it can be skewed in so many ways. So Phil, mute yourself and let us know, what is your definition?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. I think that financial literacy, honestly, in its most simplest explanation, is really the ability to know how to manage, save, and invest your money. I think that if you're not able to do any one of those things, then it's really, really hard to have the right resources to be able to grow your wealth and to maintain it, to be honest. So financial literacy skills to me is just like having that valuable knowledge on simple things, even what an investment is, budgeting, learning the different ways to budget, because of course there's a couple different ways that you can do that as well. But just having those simple skills in order to really just, knowing how to save, manage, and invest your funds.
I'd actually like to add to that. I also think it comes with, once you know some basic financial literacy, and everyone basically knows how to save, right? Or how to maybe live below your means. But the hard part is actually implementing that consistently and knowing what works for you and for your lifestyle. And you just have to be honest with yourself and look in the mirror. And even if you know what you should be doing, but for some reason it's very hard for you to keep that up on a consistent manner so that you can actually get ahead, then you have to put some systems or safeguards in place that make it easier for you to save and make it easier for you to follow the correct financial literacy kind of guidelines, so that you don't slip back into overspending or going out to eat too much or whatever it is. And at some point you do have to make some sacrifices. I know a lot of people don't like that word sacrifice. And I don't like it either when it comes to certain things with finances. Like, I'm not going to not get a $5 Starbucks. But because my mindset is the way it is for so many years, has been conditioned, I don't get a $5 or $6 Starbucks every day anyway, because to me it's unnecessary. I like the corner cart coffee better anyway, right? So I just save some money. But just as one example, one of my problems when I first got it started was credit cards. And it wasn't that I was over leveraging or spending more than my limits, and I was always paying the bill, but I was always using that as I don't really want to take that cash out of my bank account, so let me just put it on my card so I can pay smaller payments over time, right? And so my balances crept up because I was never putting a big enough chunk onto that payment after a while. And so after I got settled and on my feet and I got an influx of money and I was able to pay off the cards, I basically cut them off. I also knew, because of credit scores, you have to learn about your credit and how that affects. I didn't want to close certain credit cards because I've had them for a long time and I didn't want that to affect my length of history so that my score would go down. So I just cut them up and I threw them in the trash. I still have them reporting, but I don't use them, right? So I've had years where I got used to using my debit card, which made me more cognizant about the money that I was actually spending at the moment. So just as a add into that.
Okay. I'll go.
I love that.
I know per definition, it says that financial literacy is a possession of the set or skills of knowledge that allows an individual to make informed and effective decisions with all of their financial resources. However, oftentimes in our communities, there's not enough finances to make financial decisions within the resources that you currently have. So one of the things within our school that we added was mind your business, going out and talking to those local professionals, CPAs, et cetera, to where when we start talking about grants, a lot of grants are out there for everyone, particularly our community. However, we never even apply for them because we're too scared to apply for them, or we don't know how to apply for them, or who to talk to that can assist us with applying for them. So it's not that the resources aren't there. We just don't know that they're there, and or we don't know who to talk to that can assist us with achieving those financial resource goals. So ultimately, I would say surrounding yourselves with individuals that add value to you, that don't deflate you. And sometimes I think that's sometimes the hardest thing that most of us have to deal with. Sometimes you have to cut some people off or limit the reach that they have or access that they have to you if they're not where it is that you want to go. If 5 years from now, that person is still sitting under a tree, laughing, joking, doing some nonsense, chances are that's not what you currently see that you want for your life. You might need to change your surroundings. That doesn't mean that you dislike them or you don't want to talk to them anymore. But the largest change that I've seen in the individuals that I've been around is that when they changed their surroundings, they were committed to success and understanding that the distance between success and failure is discipline and commitment. By being committed to being disciplined of not doing the nonsense that leads you down those railroads in the first place.
That's awesome. I absolutely agree on that. I think too that that's also one of the hardest things about being on this journey too, is the fear of like not wanting to leave, you know, your family and close friends and stuff behind. But at the same time too, you have to understand that if you were growing and you were trying to develop yourself personally and you're investing all of this time and this energy into yourself and educating yourself, well, for the ones that are willing to go and ride that ship with you, that's awesome. That's amazing. But for the ones that don't, you don't want those people to hold you back onto your journey as well, because who's going to benefit from that, right? No one benefits when people hold you back. So if you, that's just something that I've learned and that I've experienced, is that there's a whole shift in mindset when you start to educate yourself and really develop these new skills and these new tools. And to cut people off, but at the same time, that gap does grow, and either you're going to fall down or they're going to come up.
And then with that, on top of that, we have two hands. For me, one's to pull someone up, the other one's to keep pulling up. But eventually, if that pull up gets a little too, tough, you have to decide what you're going to let go and what you're willing to let go, and have those necessary tough conversations. Most individuals have them when it's too late, and now they feel guilt. When if you have those honest, effective communication skill sets up front, then I think that it helps with the process of where it is you're trying to go, who you are and who you are answering to, and it will help you along your journey. Miss Kennedy.
Oh.
Yes. What was the question? Again, acting up.
No worries.
Your definition of financial literacy.
Yes. First question of what Nicole G was saying in reference to it, it's all about, budgeting, saving, investing, and tracking what you're spending, like Nicole Pendergrass had mentioned as well. And one app that I did use to help me stay track of my budget and my spending was the Mint app, Mint. I had downloaded that about 5 years ago, and I was able to track what I was spending. And it allows you to set budget on how much money you want to save, and it also tracks your score, your credit score as well. So that's the tool for financial. Pendergrass had mentioned that sometimes we spend things that we don't necessarily need, such as coffee. I don't drink coffee, but out to eat on a daily basis, or going shopping and spending things that will not make more money for you. The Mint app is highly recommended. I also know that I think Nicole G uses it as well, and some of you guys probably also use it. But just being able to manage your money, also pay off your debt, and know the difference between good debt and bad debt is also a part of financial literacy, and using debt to leverage to buy other assets and to scale. So that is my definition of financial literacy, and it definitely needs to be educated, spread throughout our minority community. And I think we are doing a good job by having this panel and discussion for today.
Awesome. I love all those examples.
And a lot of people who are rooting you guys on in the chat out there. Get up, guys.
You guys unraveled a lot in financial literacy. And one of the things is education. I think all of you guys education. Now, I went to school. We all gone through the grammar, high schools, and so forth. And I believe that school and us, especially
in the minority community,
but whatever you want to call us,
but
I tell by they're not teaching us the fundamental tools that we need to sort of bridge that wealth gap in a sense. Those extra like PE and stuff like that, math, the basic stuff. But no schools are teaching financing. No schools are teaching, how to invest. What do you think that is? Do you think that should be a curriculum that should be embodied in the school system to teach community or young Black man, male and female, and other minorities who fall into that loop to money to view money different?
Yeah, I never actually understood why there was home ec, because I mean, you think about it and you're like, oh, like the thing that we enjoyed so much about that was the fact that we could just eat during the day for free. But again, it's not something that's really teaching valuable life skills. It's just like you're teenagers and that's what you do. But I think honestly, that the education system, it is failing us, because there are things that we should absolutely know how to do. And I can say that simply even from having a finance background. I went to school for finance thinking, okay, well, I'm probably going to learn some valuable life skills. They don't teach you the things that you're going to learn out in the real world. And so that's really up to us to be able to educate and pass that knowledge on to those within our network and our own kids. But I think that one of these things that I recently heard was that the difference between your income and your expenses is the gap. And the gap is where wealth is created. And if you keep that in the back of your mind, okay, the difference between income and expenses, that part of it is where, okay, now you can really make some different decisions. Can I increase my income? Can I reduce my expenses? Where am I going to build in that wealth? And as Keisha had said before, the difference between good debt and bad debt, I think people in the minority communities are afraid of debt in its entirety, because debt is just such a negative, it has such a negative that they fear even mortgages, which we all know, okay, well, 2/3 of your wealth, American wealth, is going to be created through your home equity. So there's a lot to unravel, and I want to give someone else a chance to chime in too.
I do want to jump in there. So I did hear something similar about that gap, and it's basically like invest the gap, right? So you might save that originally, but the whole purpose of a savings account is to invest it. It's not to save, it's save to invest. And then once you've invested something, your savings account is at zero. Now start saving the gap again to eventually invest it. So that's the cycle that you need to be on. Now, just to get back to the schools have failed not only communities of color, but I think just the society in general, because schools were created to make workers. Now, there was some historical information or like some article that I read a while back, so I might get specific dates, reconstruction, like, when we got started doing manufacturing, something like that. I don't know, whatever in the centuries previous in the histories, in the country's history, there was a worker supply shortage. Like there weren't people enough to work. I guess it was like after a war and a lot of men got sent overseas. And so there was a lack of workers. And then they had women. That's when women started going into the workforce because the men weren't there. And there was no one, here in America to actually fill these factories and do that work. And then at some point after that, that evolved into starting the school system when we got out of agriculture, where you needed your kids to be there working on the farm and doing all this other stuff. Like when we transitioned and we started manufacturing and doing all those things, they needed workers. So they started the school system specifically to train and teach about memorization, following the rules, following this path, find a good job after college, all those things that we still are taught today. And the school system has not changed with the ages. So I think, yes, education is extremely, extremely important. But besides the required school system that is here now, and I'm even thinking about alternatives for my own kids. Like, am I going to do homeschooling? Am I going to get a private tutor? I mean, I can't afford that yet, but that's part of the whole reason I'm investing and building wealth. So I can afford that. And so I can let them learn in a more hands-on experiential way and learn the things that they're actually going to know and need to know for life, and not just memorizing and knowing, ABC and just memorizing that and not cheating off of people, but because you're copying answers. In life, any kind of growth is all about collaboration with other people and teaming up with people who are strong in parts that you're weak at. So that's not what they teach you in school. And so I just think having a wider view of the education system, why it is the way it is now, is just part of that financial education and financial literacy. So you can make informed decisions for your children and your heirs going forward.
It's funny that you mentioned regarding and where they currently are. A lot of teachers are older teachers, things of that nature. However, for me, the way I got into investing was an actual professor. Granted, it's before you get to that point, but I never thought about it during that time. It was more so of them feeling a certain way because they had on a suit, two-piece, hot as I don't know what in that room, but they still had it on because they understood they didn't know who they might see that day. And ultimately, when another teacher walked in with jeans and a t-shirt on that looked completely different than the teacher that had on a two-piece suit, they got upset. And they said, you guys need to learn how to network. You guys need to understand what investing is. Like, they kind of went into a deep dive of, accredited investors and all this stuff. I'm like, what is this man talking about? But it gauged my mind to want to know more, want to listen. And he literally changed up the structure of our classroom setting. And that right there led to me going along my wealth journey. And if it wasn't for a teacher walking in asking for a marker to utilize, it wouldn't have led to that, I don't think, because he got a bit irate and he went on in detail of why it's important with the average income of the classroom, of their parents and different things of that nature. So when you take it back, when I look at all the schools that were chosen for me, magnet schools or private school, like I didn't come from a ton. At the same time, I came from a ton of knowledge that led to a ton of wealth. And I think oftentimes when you have, those opportunities to be in those different situations, it allows you to be around individuals that might think a little different. Because ultimately, it's not that the school system at a private school is better than a public school. It's also what they have at home. Because if your parents or majority of your family is in a real estate space, you're going to learn certain skill sets, and your dinner table conversations are going to be night and day from someone whose parents, that's not their background, their wheelhouse, and their paycheck to paycheck. So therefore, it's not just school, because these parents have kids and they're spending more time with the teacher and the students in the classroom than they are actually learning as a whole. Especially now, it's even worse because it's online and learning virtually and are in class. And then now when they go home, they're going to after school care before the parent can pick them up. So if you're only spending about 4 hours with your child, I don't care what you've taught them. It's going to go out the door with the other 8 to 12 hours that they're spending with someone else that's probably not teaching those gifts of love, respect, hard work, dedication that you've been putting in for the 4 hours that you had access to them. So I definitely would say it's imperative to understand what it is you're trying to achieve with what you're doing. Go out, give back to your communities, within your communities, start to network within your communities with those individuals that are doing some similar things. And then you guys try to come together to impact and go and talk to those teachers in the local communities. Go to your local meetups, not just because you want something and you need something. Go because you're trying to add value. And you'll be surprised at some of the things that you hear. Then it lets you understand how someone communicates, how they learn to communicate, how to communicate with them in return and speak their language in a way to where that it makes sense to them, that they can respond and want to do better and will do better.
That's a huge thing, Aubrey, is like speaking their language. Absolutely. That's one reason too why, you know, in the residential space, I focus on like distressed communities, because I feel that the residents that are there don't have an advocate or a voice for them. And to really get down to the understand what the community needs, what they need to thrive, what are they looking for as it relates to even homes, like what do you guys need? That is so important to have that outreach. And that's why I try to involve myself with the residents in those communities and just exactly like you said, speak their language, because your language is not going to resonate with them. You need to really put yourself out there and understand.
Yeah. About speaking their language. When I first got into the commercial space, one of my had mentioned when you're speaking to a commercial broker, use the word trade and don't use what will the property sell for. He was like, when you're speaking the commercial language, use the word trade, and you want to speak their language. So I second at what you're saying, speaking their language, because we already have a lower advantage when we're in the commercial space, black face and a white space, which already makes it very uncomfortable. Differently, it doesn't matter what we say or how we act. We have to think before we speak. Otherwise, we'll be viewed differently.
Well said, ladies. Well, there's just looking to be political here. We're not, jump into any hoopla politics. And the audience might think that we're going that route, but all of this, many things, it can go in multi ways. But we're just going to on the topic now. One other question I do have for you guys is when we, especially in the Black community, we typically see that a lot of people to the lifestyle, trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. Is that a fact? Is keeping us? That is not the needle in a wealth gap situation, because let's look at. I pulled up. The average white family in the U.S. has approximately, while the median in the African community is approximately a $154,000 gap that we're facing. And a lot of people in society, and they say, okay, we're designer this, brand new car this, the money phones that we're seeing nowadays, and picture that we have it made. So why is the problem, and how can we fix that problem?
I think that's an individual thing. Ultimately, you have to want to do better to do better. Every day I wake up, I wear all black anytime I work out. It symbolizes a clean slate. Like, no one cares what I did yesterday. They care what I've done for them lately. So ultimately, if I start from zero, there's no way you can ever knock me down. And that goes to that mindset shift, because I think sometimes we throw the word mindset in there too much too. What is the definition of that? Well, ultimately, it's imperative to know that not everyone that's showing you something is actually doing what they're doing. We see that even in the commercial space. Deal closed, but they're still closing, raising 6 months after. So it's just one of those things where it's not about what someone's necessarily doing. Ask the detailed questions. And I find a lot of times individuals aren't willing to ask the questions. They go with the assumption of what something looks like. I will ask a detailed, direct, oriented question, and I will end with, if I may, is there something that I need to know, should know, I would like to know that I have not asked you that you could potentially answer for me? I just gave you 3 to 4 different questions in one, verifying that I need honesty from you. And if you choose to still be dishonest with me, that's an individual choice. And you just showed me a lot about you and your personal character and how you oftentimes show up. So ultimately, if you're going off of that, that's one, an individual thing. 2, I don't really watch TV like that, so probably turn the TV off. That might assist with some of it. And outside of LinkedIn, as you guys know, I don't post like that and all that other stuff, but I do support. It's because I don't want to develop a habit that I have to get rid of. I want success habits that will grow with me, that will make me better, add value to me and others every day. And if at any point in time I feel as though something is not valuable to me, or I can't potentially be of value to it because I don't trust or believe in it based on my value system, which starts with trust, belief, commitment, vision, passion, and reality. So if I trust in something, I believe in it. If I trust in something, I believe in it, I become committed to it. If I trust in something, I believe in it, I become committed to it, a passion naturally will form for me. So if I trust in something, I believe in it, I'm committed to it, and a passion forms, there's a vision right behind that. So if I have trust, I believe in it, I'm committed to it, I'm passionate about it, and a vision forms, there's no reason whatever it is I'm setting out to do will not become a reality. So surrounding yourselves with individuals that are where you're trying to go, not just where you're at, but where you're trying to go, so you can see a different vehicle of avenue that you can take, and they can help pull you up or assist or add value to you. But just make sure you're giving as much, if not more, value in return.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely second that as well. How we all met was through networking with each other and surrounding ourselves by like-minded people. I believe that the reason why people are living paycheck to paycheck and trying to keep up with the Joneses is mainly social media. You know, they see these superstars or reality TV shows, and they think that they should, you know, buy these designer bags, like you mentioned earlier, Mark, or designer shoes, paycheck to paycheck, and barely can pay their own bills. But that's what society is showing and displaying, you know, like I said, movies and TV shows. And I'm with you, Aubrey. I don't watch TV. I love working, networking out a deal, just staying active, surrounding like-minded people, and staying away from people that do not have the same goal as I do, because that's how I'm able to be so successful living on the other side of the world. About mindset.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Mindset, heart set, because you got to have the heart to want to do it too, because sometimes, some days, it's not as easy as it seems. So I just want to make sure I said it out there too.
Yeah,
there's plenty of days Miss Kennedy, I'm sure, would love to be asleep.
Yep.
She keep moving.
Like probably right now.
Yeah, there's many nights where I fall asleep at the computer. I'm like doing work, or I'm watching something like a video, like trying to educate myself on underwriting, just something, and I wake up like, oh, like the computer's there, open still, and the thing's still playing. So
like somebody actually tried to joke with me the other day. Oh, you don't listen to music? What do you mean you don't listen to music? I listen to music all the time. Well, if you don't listen to music, what do you listen to? I said, wealth.
Ooh.
I said, what? Hey, what's that? I said, Inc.com, Forge.com. And they start, what? I said, if it's not adding value or wealth to me, I'm not listening to it. It doesn't have access in my space, period.
That's so true.
I listen to wealth. I love that.
Wealth. Aubrey, you just dropped a mic right there with that whole wealth thing. But it's true though. And it takes training your mind to think that way though, because you go back to other people, you know, that have been in your network for years and years that are on a different path than you, and you talk, and that language is no longer the same. It's you're not speaking each other's language anymore. But it's a big thing. So to answer your question, Mark, about like why people want to keep up with the Joneses and whatnot, it kind of falls back into that book, Millionaire Next Door. I'm sure, like, you know, you guys have read that book, where you know, the difference between high net worth individuals and high income individuals, and there's a huge difference within that net worth, right? And with the people that are trying to keep up with the Joneses, you sometimes have to wonder too, like, what really is their mission in life? Is their mission just to, look the part, or is it actually to be the part? And that's the thing, like, even from what, being on this journey and stuff too, like, I've cut back. I probably wear almost the same stuff all the time. I'm wearing my husband's shirt right now because I felt like it fit in. And it's like, and it's just one of those where you just, I don't know, you do what you feel is right. And for us and for me, like, it's not trying to keep up with other people, because I don't care what they are doing. I care what I am doing and what I'm teaching my kids and what we are fostering as a family and how we can help other people to do the same. It's not about looking a certain way. Like, forget that. It is what it is. But you do feel bad for them when you have a different mindset and you're like, oh, okay, well, you do you with your new stuff. We'll see how long that.
No, I completely agree. And I actually was going to say, I think I read something about there being decision fatigue. And, you trying to, so the whole thing of like wearing some of the same things all the time or wearing the same colors all the time. A lot of wealthy people wear the same thing. Like Steve Jobs, he wore that black turtleneck, all the time. He wore the same thing every time because he didn't want that to be one more decision he had to take him off of his game for another more important decision to make down the road. So it's all about your priorities and what you really want to look like. And this is a problem in the community, is like, do you want to look wealthy or do you want to be wealthy? Because I think even once my net worth is climbing more and more, I feel like I would really have some big issues paying $500 for like a purse. Really? I don't know. I just don't see the value there, because I'd rather take that money and put it into an investment that's going to pay me back money over time. And another quote that I heard recently is that rich is loud and wealthy is quiet.
Right.
Oh, that's exactly like the book. Yes.
Rich is loud and wealthy is quiet. And if you think about it, it's so true, because the people who, even if you got high income comparatively and you think you're doing something, you still are trying to show it off and you're still trying to be the Joneses. And the wealthy people are not trying to do that. They're like above that level. They're far past that situation. I think I wanted to circle back to Mark's original statement, is why do we want to look like we keep up with the Joneses? There is some historical context to that too, which I don't think gives us an excuse to continue that behavior going forward. I want to preface it by saying that. But I know in the times when we were freed from slavery, we're still discriminated. I mean, we still are discriminated against. But in any case, like early in that time, that's where the whole concept of dressing your best and even Sunday best and always trying to look like you were more or doing better so that you will be treated better by society and by other communities when you go out to shop or you go out to eat, because there's already discrimination. But if you looked the part, then it was kind of like maybe you have a chance of someone treating you slightly different or slightly better, right? And I think that mindset has just passed on from generation to generation, and it's transformed into this whole who's bigger and better, which is not the where we need to be right now. Guys, hey, please, mommy is talking. Didn't I say that? See, I warned them before.
Hey, babies.
I got my anyway. Shoot. You know what? Lollipop bribes do not work. They do not work on toddlers because I bribed them. It still ain't work. But anyway. So there is that historical context for why that mindset started in our communities. But I do think, again, it is an individual choice, like Aubrey, you said, but it's also exposure. It's exposure to the information. It's exposure to seeing people who are doing more and who look like you. And I think that's also something that a lot of people don't realize, that they can do certain things because they don't see anyone like them doing it. They don't realize that it's possible because they have not been exposed to that. So that is one of the reasons why I try to post a lot. It's just so that even though I'm at the beginning of my journey, I'm further than other people are, who are still trying to get started. And I want to really show them that it is possible, that you can do it. Like, I didn't come from some place that was wealthy. Like, my family was, I had come from a regular, not even blue collar kind of family, but we had one income household for like a 7-person family. You know what I mean? And that was my mom working really hard all the time. So all I knew was the power of hard work. I didn't come a business-minded, entrepreneurial, real estate investing type of family. And I'm still making it now earlier than what retirement age should be. You know what I mean? And I feel like I will be able to retire before then. And retiring is also like another term that we can get into later. I won't get into all of that, but like retiring to me doesn't mean stop working. But in any case,
you're retired to something, not from something.
Retire to something else where I control my time. And to me, retirement is control of my time and not control like being chained to a desk 9 to 5. That's what retirement means to me. But in any case, yes, I think it's the exposure, and that's why I like that we're doing this panel, is that we can put it out there and let people know that every single one of us up here is doing something. We have a different mindset, and you can too. You just need to see that somebody else is doing it who looks like you, and that is possible.
Yep. And I definitely agree with the exposure part. One of the reasons I started to show my face more over the last, I'd say, 10 months was because of that. If you truly want to add value and expand your reach, you do have to show visibility. Because for me, it was commercial real estate, education, and sports. And oftentimes with us, our kids, like I'll go speak at a school or whatever the case may be, and I hear the same thing all the time. They think the only thing they can do to create wealth is sports. Well, if you do the percentage, you almost don't even have a shot. You're already at a disadvantage there, but their minds are so big to think that they're not. So how is it that you can think that in that space, but not in the other spaces? So when you start to talk to them and meet them where they're at, even parents, I'm seeing parents reclassify their kids just for a sport and holding them back after they've passed classes just for a sport. So that goes back to, that's not just TV. That's also something even within them growing up, generational, etc., that they thought that they needed to do. So therefore, we go in those different communities and we bring in, like, a client of mine is an FBI agent. And he always says, whenever you need me to come speak to the kids, I'll speak to him. He's literally 3%, and he's a Black male that's over the special intelligence FBI unit, which you just don't get to talk to on a regular basis. And he says, I will come talk to them. So I started Adopt a Heart. And with that Adopt a Heart, they go around and they talk to someone in the career field that they said they wanted. I don't want to be a police officer, but I want to be an FBI agent. Well, you do realize they kind of parallel to each other, right? So you put them in a situation, you give them the opportunity to ask questions. And this is from age 7 all the way up to 17. And they get to come in, they get to ask these questions and those segments to those different professionals in their professional background. So they can see someone that looks like them, that are doing some of the same things they say they want to do, and that you can acquire and accumulate wealth doing something other than just playing a sport. Because ultimately these parents are pushing off what it is that they love to do on their kids, and they never get to truly have a journey, let alone a childhood. And you're seeing a lot of that nonsense take place. And it's like, why is it that he doesn't want to be a doctor? Why is it that he doesn't want to be a lawyer? Even a school teacher, oh, they don't make enough money. Well, I'm here to tell you, school teachers, they might not start off making a lot of money, but over the course of some wealthy individuals are actually former school teachers and our college professors. It's because they started earlier. So therefore, when they started to invest and had those summers and maximize their revenue in doing other things or starting businesses, their wealth accumulated over time. So it's not about how small you start off. When we play that cash flow wealth game, and that 15-year-old sees how that janitor gets out of that wheelwares faster than that lawyer or that doctor, they're like, oh, it's not so bad to be a janitor. No, I'm not saying you should be. I'm just saying, what is it that you like to do? What is it that you love to do? How will we assist you along that journey? So we can provide you with those things and show you some individuals in those spaces that are currently having success in them. And then if you still want to do these other things, we'll add value and support you in that way as well. But we don't want you just in this circle or this bubble. And then when it pops, you have nothing to fall onto because there's no inflatable underneath you. And I think a lot of things start with quicksand as opposed to a solid foundation of a rock. Same thing with math when we talk about finance and things of that nature. That class should be mandatory. Just take geometry out. No offense. Just take it out. And let's substitute it with basic finance. Now, so when you start talking about those things, if you had a very good math teacher, I was blessed. I learned how to balance a checkbook in 6th grade. Like the first 2 weeks, I knew how to balance a checkbook. But that was because the math teacher was so darn good at breaking down the base fundamentals so that we can understand them. And the beauty of it was he had paper, plastic, money. It wasn't Monopoly. He went and cut these out in front of us and said, whoever has X amount at the end of the month, you guys can purchase something from here. And then he would break down the math of how much you needed of your expenses, your revenue. Like he literally brought down everything. So we didn't realize what we were learning, but he brought value to us. He brought a bank account to us. He brought the money to us. And ultimately we had to choose what made the most sense. So if you didn't have enough money in your bank at the end of the month, you couldn't do what? You're window shopping.
Yeah.
You window, and he showed you how you had to save. He said, but when you save, but if you buy this, you can also sell this for this on the back end. So he's teaching you investing in the 6th grade and balancing a checkbook in the 6th grade. And that was not a private school. That was a public school. It just was a phenomenal individual that chose to take phenomenal time against a bunch of individuals that he thought he could add value to. Thank you, Mr. Martin.
That is
Mr. David Martin.
And that's another thing too that I feel like.
Yeah, like even I never forget my principal in kindergarten, all the way up through 5th grade. We used to stand Garden City Elementary. Dr. Ramey, I never forget her. She used to come on her pew, and then she used to speak out to every classroom. They could see her on a video monitor. And I never forget the school creed. The most powerful part of it was I will crawl through that tunnel. I will climb that mountain. And when I get to the top, I will stand and say, I am somebody. And she said, point to yourself, Black woman, point to yourself. Say, I am somebody. She was like, say it louder. I am somebody. Look to the person to the left of you. Because we had desks sitting. It was purposely designed for us to have to look at each other and empower each other. Look at that person next to you and say, I am somebody. Look at the person across from you and say, I am somebody. Now come together away from your desk and look at each other and hold hands in unity and say, I am somebody. Now you guys go and have a wonderful day. You're starting your day off with a powerful message that happened to be from a powerful Black woman. So it wasn't a shocker that most of us had success.
What school was that? I need my kids to go there.
Yeah, right. I know, and I think that's why it's so awesome that we've got Black women that are in the space showing other people that you can do it and that you are somebody. Because I know that we're minorities in this space. We're minorities just in general, but especially in the space. Mm-hmm. And it means something when other people see you doing things and that you've got an openness and a willingness to also, Aubrey, how you said before, is you're climbing up and you're hanging on, but then you're also bringing somebody else up with you and everyone else. And that's how I envision my journey. And that's why I started even just kind of like being very, out there on social media and really sharing and stuff what I know, because it is a journey. And I started from like nothing, no knowledge or anything, to this point. So again, you chronicleize, you show what it is that you're doing. We have power in and of itself that we just look this way as well. And I think that that's a huge motivator for other people. And we just take them along.
Yep. You stick out like a sore thumb. So I control my day and I own it. It's always a great day to have a great day. I'm going to own my space. And if you would like to be in it, positivity has to come with you. Otherwise, take off your shoes and your socks and kick rocks.
And
oh, God. I love
drop
it.
is some major bombs hit. A bomb sound effect, but that's pretty we're at the top of the hour now. So let's just move it along a bit. Man, I have so many questions for you, ladies. What is your difference between? I think we're going to have to do a part 2 of this, but ladies, what is your definition of wealthy and rich? I think a lot of people they influence, and I know that they're totally differently, but a lot of people are perception that, hey, I want to be rich. But no one wants to be wealthy, and a lot of the 1%ers out there are wealthy. What please into our audience?
Wealth to me is doing what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, and with whom I would like to do it with. anytime, anywhere. That's wealth to me. And I think so many times individuals constantly are looking at a bank account to determine if they're rich or wealthy. It starts here. It starts here. It's mindset, heart set. Where are you? Because in order to achieve that 1%, that started here. That started here. That started with support. So you ultimately have to decide what it is that you're trying to do, how you're trying to do it, the timeline in which you're trying to do it, and who do you need to surround yourself with to do it. By the end of 2022, I've said it. It's out there. I plan on being and I will be a billionaire. So if you want to jump on the billionaire train, call me. It's just one of those things. Reach out to me.
I'm jumping on.
Aubrey, we're all on the train, girl. We're all on the train.
But it takes a level of boldness to say that and a level of work habits to be willing to put in the necessary work to do it. And that's why I said before, the distance between success and non-success, to me, it starts with commitment to discipline. Are you willing to do what's necessary and not what's comfortable? Most people just want to do what's comfortable. I'm not here to talk about how you feel today just because it's Tuesday. It's always a great day. So therefore, make it what it is. Don't tell me what it is. Like, I want to add value to you. I can't add value to. I'm not going to attempt to if you're not willing to understand where you are, own it, and say what it is out loud that it is you want to achieve and accomplish. And don't worry about what everyone thinks about it. And I think too many individuals don't realize not that many people are thinking about you the way you think they are. So get out of your own way and stop missing your blessings because you refuse to step into your light and you miss your season and your journey.
Oh man,
I didn't know it was Sunday. Every day is Sunday when you talk to Aubrey.
It's always a great day.
Always Sunday.
No, I second you, Aubrey, on that. I think that wealth is the ability to create that financial independence and that financial freedom to where you can do whatever you want and you can live life however you want. I think that honestly, and then in its simple, like a simple way of kind of putting it too, wealth is people that have that net worth that backs them in order to be able to live the life that they want. And I think for people that are rich, they're in that rat race of consistently chasing the next thing. They're keeping up with the Joneses. They make a lot of money, but they don't necessarily spend it the right way or save it or invest it. So they don't have any sort of financial backing. They just make a lot of great money and their lifestyles essentially supports that income. And they're going to always be in that cycle of working and never have that freedom to do what it is that they want. So I think that's the biggest differentiator for me between wealth and being rich. I don't want to be rich. I want to be wealthy.
Yeah. I think you could be rich and still live paycheck to paycheck. Because your expenses creep up and people are always trying to be that next level up and trying to live with the Joneses. Oh, I've got more money. I can spend more. I can get a better car. I can get a bigger house. I can do all this stuff. But then they don't set themselves up because as soon as they don't have to work anymore or not have to work, but as soon as like they can't work anymore because life happens to or for everybody. But if you can't work anymore, you don't have any additional streams of income or investments or anything like that coming in, then guess what? You're screwed. You were rich and living a life, but you didn't set yourself up for when life threw you curveballs. And that's the main thing that I want people to get into their head. Everything might be good now. It might be copacetic. You might be having a life. You might have the best job. You might love your job and never want to leave it. And that's fine. Being wealthy, being an entrepreneur, setting up your investments does not mean you have to leave your job, but it does mean you need to be secure and have a backup plan for when life doesn't want to give you what you want from it. Like, and you need to be able to take life and things are not happening to you. They're happening for you. But a lot of people don't know how to deal with the for you part. They use that in the wrong way and they have a woe is me victim mentality. But this is all about making sure that you set yourself up. London, come on, man. You set yourself up for success and for whenever things happening in life that you can actually roll with the punches and it won't destroy you, basically.
Absolutely. Yes, for me, wealth is generational wealth, being able to pass on a legacy to my family and to their family and continuing the cycle. And also, like everyone else has said, you know, the rich, they're living beyond their means. I know I have some friends who I thought were wealthy and rich, and getting in this commercial space, I reached out to them personally to see if they wanted to invest. And they said, hey, I don't have it. I don't have it like I used to when I was living abroad, or I don't have that old position. And it's because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses. So like Aubrey said earlier, you can't judge a book by its cover. And you'll be surprised at how much money that your so-called friends that are, showing out on social media have no money to invest and actually have nothing in their bank account as well. So I want to be wealthy and I want to leave a legacy for myself, just like everyone on this panel. And I am encouraging everyone that's listening today to do the same.
And even piggybacking off of that too, a lot of individuals don't realize when they are saving, you can leave a ton of money in the bank. However, it's making 0.01%, which is why we're also in this commercial real estate space. Because, you hear a lot of individuals say, I want to get out of a 9-to-5 rat race. Well, everyone's in a rat race. The question is, what type of cheese are you after? Like, what is it that you're looking to do? So that's why we are passive investors and are active investors, because we want to make money in our sleep. You invest your way to wealth. You don't save your way to wealth. So stop putting your money under your mattress. Go get a bank account. An individual I know jokes all the time. Jewish people own a lot of the banks. Like it's a reason. And that joke goes a little further, but I'll leave it right there. Like, so if you're not in those different circles and different things of that nature, there's a lot of wealthy people that have a bank account. So if you're trying to progress, at some point in time, you do need to open up a bank account. It's okay to save, but I do like to make sure my funds are primarily in assets that are accumulating more wealth for me over time.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that savings isn't going to do anything for you. It's not going to grow the way that you are anticipating it to grow. And like you said, I did a post on this the other day too, about your average savings or checking account. It was like 0.006%. And it's like, what are you doing? But I think that sometimes people fear what they don't know. And when they have maybe a lot of money that's sitting around that they are able to invest, they don't understand what investing looks like or understand
what it sounds like, what it feels like. Yep.
Exactly. And so it stays in that little account making barely anything when they really could be adding to their net worth and really reaping those benefits of commercial real estate, of other investment asset classes, all different things. But when you don't know it, the saying goes, right? It's like you don't know what you don't know. So that's why I think that it's so out here educating and giving these opportunities to people, because it hasn't been something that, the average American was able to take advantage of. It was a very rich kind of golf coursey type thing. And everyone that was within that clique was able to, take advantage of the apartments or the storage or all of these different alternative asset classes. So I think that we have a larger part than what we maybe currently think, and that we can make a huge difference in other people's lives.
I think the hardest part for most individuals.
Yep. Sorry, Mark.
Very true. No, it's all good. Listen, I'm go. I had to drop a bomb for you.
Bomb, man.
I was like,
so late.
Listen, I tested it out, so this. Yeah, but listen.
I got startled there. I was like.
What of the wealth building vehicles that you can use to build wealth in America, especially our community, that we should?
I think you have to be careful, and this kind of segued off of Nicole G's. You got to be careful too with all the free information out there, because a lot of individuals are jumping on some of this free information. I met a lady that sold her home and forgot that she needed one to live in, all because of what she heard someone say. And now she was looking for a home and not realizing all the other homes are priced higher than what she currently had. Now she's going to be forced to rent. So it goes back to, it's okay to listen to information, attempt to receive information, but you better be able to comprehend that information that you're receiving and see if it's something you need to spit out or if something that should stick. Treat it like the spaghetti. Throw it out there, see if it sticks. If it don't, leave it alone. It's not done. It's not something you need to be a part of. And we had a nice long conversation of some things that she could do. And ultimately, we still keep in touch. But I was a little semi-shocked, not really, but semi-shocked that she sold her home. I understood what she was trying to do. At the same time, it's not something you needed to do. They were telling you their journey, what they did. That doesn't mean that was your journey or you need to try it. So find out what works for you, timeline you want to reach those goals in, actually set goals, because most people don't even do that. Set the goals, put them somewhere you can read them. Don't treat them like the New Year's resolution. And then the last 30 days of the month, all of a sudden you rushing towards that 12-month goal. Every 90 days is a year for me. So I have 4 years to most people's 12 months of a year. And my quarters are different as well. I'm on my second quarter going into my third quarter already because my quarter started in October. That's my quarter one, October to March. So once you start looking from there, yeah, absolutely. So I don't do the typical January is my first quarter. No, my first quarter starts in October. So therefore, I'm going to naturally be ahead because I understand where everyone's at.
I like the spaghetti analogy. I've heard that before. I think I might start using that.
Well, that goes back to understanding your audience. Not everyone in this audience is in the commercial real estate space, etc. So regardless of what that audience is, I try to make sure that I make it make sense to them at whatever level you could potentially be at. You ate some spaghetti, whether you want to or not.
That's true.
Otherwise, you went to sleep hungry.
even if that spaghetti was in the form of ramen noodles.
Yeah.
We're not trying to eat those.
Wait. That's not spaghetti. That's Getty.
We are not trying to eat those.
I do want to add in that I know Mark said, what kind of wealth building strategies can we employ now for today's people and today's economy? Like Albert said, I do think it starts with a plan. It starts with gathering information. Don't just start implementing stuff because you heard somebody else say it. Make sure it fits for your situation and where you want you and your family to be in the future. But just to throw things out, like because of the Jobs Act, that's opened up a plethora of availability for people who are not accredited to invest in real estate and other offerings. There's tons of crowdfunding platforms out there, but do your research and make sure the platform and the sponsors that are on that platform are operating with integrity. They give the distributions. You make sure you read, or you have like an attorney read you through their agreements and stuff before you invest. Don't invest your last dollar, but you need to have a plan to start and know like if you need to look at a bunch of different investment options and say, okay, what's the average percentage that you get from that? If I can invest this much money and roll that over year, what does that look like? If I'm also saving to invest and I put that in there, what does that look like? And do the math. There's calculations it's easy math that you can do, and you can see how it will compound over time. That along with looking at life insurance just for your family, especially if you have heirs or people like children or whatever, at least for now. I employ the whole life policy strategy with banking on yourself. I know that's not for everybody. It's controversial. I do think whole life is better than term just because you are going to die whether you want to or not. So it just depends on when, and maybe you die after your term is gone and now you have nothing and you've been paying on your term for 30 years and then you die in your 31st year and now your family gets nothing. None of that money you put on term is going to pass on, right? So there's other strategies within the life insurance policy that you can use if you get it set up the right way. I just think that that's something people should at least read some books about and explore. I read like 4 or 5 books and talked to 5 or 6 different companies before I opened up my whole life insurance policy with the bank on yourself type of formula. So I didn't just jump in because it was controversial. I tend to go with controversial strategies, but I do my research first to make sure that it fits for me. So just get the information that's out there. There's ways to pay off your house. There's ways to refinance, to get HELOCs. I also don't think paying off your house is always a right strategy because that's opportunity cost. Like just go ahead, instead of taking all your time to pay off your house, you're losing that time to be able to invest because you're trying to save that 3 or 4% you have on your house when you could be making 10 to 15% on that money somewhere else and just keep the difference. It's called arbitrage. So instead of you get to keep that 7%. If you're making 10% and you're paying 3% on your mortgage, you get that 7% spread. But people don't look at it that way. but it's just a lot of things that you need to focus on to educate yourself and see what strategy is going to work for you and your family and your risk tolerance.
Keisha, you're kind of hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just having so many difficulties over here.
Oh,
Anyways, I
okay.
highly suggest getting a coach or a mentor. I know everyone on this call has a coach or mentor, and that's why we are all successful in the commercial space. And just because we are in the commercial space doesn't mean that you have to start off in the commercial space. You can start off even with a single family home, even a quad, a duplex. We all highly recommend a multifamily. So it can be, like I said earlier, a duplex. So you can continue to have that cash flow if one of the units is vacant. And also always focus on one asset class. There are so many ways that you can invest in real estate and you can have that shiny object syndrome. It's easy to get distracted and stay focused. So if you want to focus only on a single family house, focus on that. If you want to focus on a duplex, triplex, or quad, focus on that. And then diversify your assets, because we have RV parks, mobile home parks, and it's so easy to get distracted from your goals, like Aubrey had mentioned earlier. And make sure that you track your goals and hold yourself accountable. I always use a timesheet audit for myself, seeing how I am actually using my time throughout the day, because time is of the essence for me with this big time change and network problems with the internet. But so yeah, just staying focused and ensuring that you get a mentor. There's also meetups, free meetups that some of us attend on this call to network, and you can find value from that and also bring value to a team, and they can become your mentor. So there are many ways that you can start investing in assets other than commercial if you have a strict budget.
Love it. But
One
financial
of the things that I'll say
investing
too,
meetup. I'm sorry, Miss Aubrey, go right ahead.
and one of the two things. One of them is we start talking about priorities and value. I don't think enough individuals schedule their priorities. They set to-do lists and tasks, and they try to prioritize them from there. That means now you might not have enough quote unquote time in the day. No, it's not that you don't have enough time in the day. You didn't schedule your priorities first. The things that you value, your time will go towards first. And then anything else can fall in between and are behind that. The other one I would say too is a lot of individuals are working as teachers or something to where they have a IRA, which most people don't talk about that with investing. They're thinking they need to invest their hard-earned capital that they currently have or don't have. But if you've been working somewhere for 15 plus years, check into it. You probably have a retirement account. I would hope you know if you do or don't. So, however, some individuals don't. But if you have a retirement account, you can passively invest through your retirement account or purchase a home through your retirement account. So something to think about and or look into in contacting your HR department or whatnot, the investing source that you've invested through with that particular employer. You'll be surprised what you actually can do that you didn't even realize you were already doing.
Yeah, that's the big part about educating other people too, and for them to go out in search of what fits them and what works for them. So coming from corporate, the corporate America world, again, it was, you're taught about 401ks, you're taught about IRAs, and you basically invest in just stocks, bonds, mutual funds, those sorts of things. You don't really branch out into anything else because it's unknown territory. But I think that that when you can surround yourself with people that you maybe either look up to or in places that you want to be, then provide value to them. Ask them questions. Try to get yourself into that network and really, and just try to educate yourself and learn. I think that exposure to other types of people and other industries is huge. It's invaluable.
Awesome. So, final question for you, ladies, so I can let y'all go. I know y'all schedules is crazy. Again for jumping on whatever time zone you're in. Last question is: you ladies are in
a wealth time zone.
You go.
I got you.
Are in a male-dominant space called. How do you guys navigate this space? All the hoopla, all the
with it.
All the competition. How do you guys do it? How do you obstacles of and in the workforce for you, Keisha, in the military or as a military contractor, you know, family space?
Yeah, well, I was in the military. I am a military veteran. I'm a military contractor right now. And so I'm used to being in a male dominant space by being in the Army. So that hasn't fazed me at all. When I did decide to diversify from residential into commercial assets, the first thing that I did was actually reach out to women of color, women that look like me, women that I can resonate with. And that's what I did. I reached out to a lot of people. But how am I navigating? I think of it as a challenge. I love a challenge. And so as you can see, I'm not allowing my place where I'm residing right now to dictate my success. So I'm looking at being a commercial general partner and limited partner as a challenge. The second thing is I am going to support all of my fellow women in this industry. And that's going to create momentum for all of us because this is a team sport in the commercial space. It's not a I sport. I'm also going to lead with confidence and show what I'm capable of doing. And that's what all of us are doing on this call. And just continue to think big and dream big, regardless of this being a male dominant industry or not, and especially being a woman of color.
I personally don't see gender.
Are you guys there?
Yes, we can see. We can hear you, Keisha. We can hear you, Keisha.
Oh, okay. Did you guys hear everything that I said?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. We heard all your knowledge.
Okay.
I personally don't see gender. I see people and I see individuals. It's like what I said earlier. I ask for three things: maximum amount of effort, maximum amount of energy, and come with the right attitude. Those are things that you can control. So if I'm talking about controllables, I'm going to control what it is that I can control. Because last I checked, when it comes to, communicating certain things and asking those deeper questions and things of that nature, we're very good at raising equity too. And last I checked, in order, you have deal, debt, and equity. Like you have to have those three things in this space. Period. You have to have equity regardless, whether you want to or not. Like you can go wholesale a property, that's great. At the same time, what do you take to close it? It's always the equity piece. So there's certain things that you have to understand what your strengths are, what your non-strengths are, and surround yourself with individuals that can assist you with that. And for me, I'm sure my success usually requires effort, energy, double dose of focus, opportunity, respect, and time. I value my time, and I value individuals that value their time. And I only do business with people that have something to lose, because you will never waste my time. So just maximum amount of effort, maximum amount of energy, and come with the right attitude. But I do not see gender. I see people and I see individuals that are trying to have success and be a better version of them in this space, and I align with them. And if I do, we look to take down deals, acquire them, and I invest passively with them.
Yeah,
love that, Aubrey.
That's great. I think honestly, for me, it's pretty simple. I think that just basically providing value without the expectation of anything in return is huge. How many times do you go on LinkedIn and you check your inbox and it's literally like 15 messages and people are just selling you stuff? You've connected like, hey, right out the gate, like, it's never what can I do for you, is here's what I got for you. And it's like, well, I didn't say that I needed that. So, I mean, and if you cut people in that way of always expecting something in return, that pushes people away, at least the right people that you want to surround yourself about. So not trying to, throw anybody under the bus or anything like that, but that's just something that really kind of irks me, and it puts me in a position of not wanting to help someone else when all they've got on their mind is what's in it for them. That's not how I operate. I operate on what can I do for you? How can I help you? And if there's a synergy or there's some sort of, good vibe, or there's a way that we can provide value to each other mutually, then that's what I'm looking to see. I'm not trying to do things with expectations of other people passing along, a bone. It's how can we collaborate and get this done together?
Yeah,
I've even taken it to that point too, Nicole. When someone does that to me, sometimes I personally respond to them, because some individuals don't know that's what they're doing. They don't know that's how they're being received when they do it. So I always try to add a level of, positivity to it, as opposed to saying, you know what, are you kidding me? So if I hit connect, they already have a message ready. Really? Really? Like, you automated. Like, you actually might have some skill sets that benefit both of us. So I try to find humor in it and a way to add value at the same time. So I actually will accept the connection and then add value to them. And I'll even sometimes, depending on what they wrote, will take the time to get on maybe a Google Meet or Zoom with them on their behalf. And I'll listen to what it is and I'll add value from there. Because a lot of times they have no clue that's how they're coming across, is what I'm witnessing personally. They just don't realize that.
No, absolutely. I agree. And it's one of those things too. I respond to pretty much everyone in my inbox, and I'll say,
I know you're nicer than me.
Always politely, always politely, like, oh, that's not something that I'm looking for or whatever, but I get you. It's just,
I lead with grace.
You what?
I say I lead with grace, but I give you the doubt of the benefit. You deserve the benefit of the doubt. I benefit, and I doubt that you benefit that you will receive my time.
Oh man. But just to jump off of what Nicole G said really quick is that leading with value and giving value and that kind of thing. That's definitely how I operate. I actually don't really feel weird being in a male dominated space because I grew up with 4 brothers. So I was always around guys. That's just like kind of how I operate. I think I have a mindset of a dude, just because I know that I act differently than a lot of other people's wives or, friends that I have or know, because like I just am around guys all the time. But even in the male dominated space, I just go up and try to add value and try to make sure that it's strictly business. Don't be winking or coming over here crazy. Like, can we have a conversation without, it has to be like that. So that's the only way where I'll say sometimes you got to like watch a little bit and like kind of read into what people say if it sounds pretty funny. But in the most part, like I don't come across that too much. But also I wanted to add about giving value and having a growth mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. And that's where I think a lot of people in the industry in the whole come in and like, to me, I just want to see us win. I just want to see us invest and us to build our wealth. So if I have a call with somebody and they're looking for passive investment opportunities, but I don't have investment opportunity right now, because sometimes it ebbs and flows. You're working on something, but somebody else has something. I will I will give them the contact information for someone who I know has deal flow or has something coming in, because why should you wait around for me to be ready for you? I'm not trying to keep you in my back pocket. I want you to succeed. And if I need investors whenever I do have an opportunity, I believe the universe will provide, God will provide, it'll be there. There's plenty of people out there looking to place their money and to invest, and who also want to grow and understand the benefits of investing in real estate. So I'm not trying to keep my investors as a kind of like closed fist, just for me, because I don't have that limited kind of mindset. But that's how a lot of people operate in the space.
I love them babies.
Nicole, I'm gonna tell you right now, when on Lawrence's meetup, you scared me right now. So your brother did a good job with you. You, yeah.
Me, Nicole, or Nicole G.
Oh, you,
Nicole P. Nicole P.
Oh,
you were laughing at Nicole P. Like,
Instagram.
Okay, not me. Okay, just checking.
Get the mess out of me. But
were they getting Nicole or were they getting Nikki?
Oh man,
we know.
But we're wrapping up.
We're gonna wrap up.
Final thoughts from. What is one thing that you want to leave with our future listeners that you would like to have resonate with them?
I always say success is a habit, not a goal. Therefore, it's a choice. So therefore, make the choice to do great things all the time. Make the choice to be phenomenal every day. Make the choice to be a better version of you every single day. And control the controllables. Come with a maximum amount of energy, come with a maximum amount of effort, and come with the right attitude. Once you control those controllables, you'll see how a lot of things in your space and the people in your space that shouldn't be there will naturally disappear, and the ones that should stay, that are not seasonal in their lifetime, they will stick. So ultimately, figure out what works for you, what it is that you need, set those goals and the timeline and to reach those goals, and surround yourself with the right individuals. And remember, it's always a great day to have a great day.
Okay, I'll say right off of that. Yeah, so, bouncing off of what Aubrey just said, just know greatness is made in the moment. This is from a book I recently read. It's all your decisions that you make in the here and now that determine whether you're being great. Are you being great in the moment? Are you doing that one extra phone call? Are you analyzing that one extra property? Or reading that one extra chapter in a book? Like, what is the small incremental needle point movements that you are doing on a moment by moment basis that you are deciding to do that can further you down the line, now versus waiting and postponing? Oh, I'll get up and do it tomorrow, or I'll do this tomorrow. Because the difference between someone who ends up being, well, greatness is in the moment, meaning like, if you get a reward or you get some kind of acknowledgement or you get that building or you win this, track meet, or what, you lose this weight, whatever you do, that's not proof that you're great. That's just the realization that you were already great way before you achieved that, because you couldn't achieve that thing if you were not already great. So something that I don't know if you guys know Myron Golden, but something that he says is be, do, have. You have to be the person you want to be before you can have the things that you want to have, before you could do the things that you need to do in order to have the things that you want to have. But you have the primary thing of that is you have to be that person first. You have to become the person that you need to be in order to reach your goals and do what you need to do in the future. I'll leave it with that.
Yes. I would like to say you have to make investments to increase your freedom. We spoke about financial freedom. Hello? Are you guys there? Okay.
We can hear
Nicole
you.
dropped. Okay, she just dropped. Okay. Yes, you have to make investments to increase your freedom. So it might be taking a risk. And that's what we've all done on this call. We took a risk by investing in an asset, and that 95% of millionaires invested in real estate. So start today. The best investment that you can make is within yourself. So get a coach, mentor, or find someone where you can add value. But please invest your capital. Don't let it sit in a savings account.
And Nicole G, before she jumped off, she actually wrote in the chat, and she said, embrace the struggle because it's only building you up.
There you go.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Ladies, I want to thank each and every one for jumping on this. I mean, I actively based that interview all three of you ladies on my podcast. You should check out the OBS Apartment Investing podcast, www.apartmentinvesting.com, or streaming on all podcasts. You'll hear Nicole P is coming up soon, and Nicole G's is on there as well. So their insight to the creativity of this concept here. I want to thank you ladies for jumping on and sharing your amazing wisdom. This was fun. We definitely a lot of stuff that you guys were throwing out there, and I had so many questions, like a good moderator does. I didn't get a chance to ask, but we'll plan that out, and we'll situate it better for the next time. But thank you guys. Get wisdom, your insight into our listeners and our audience. If you have not reached out to everyone here as well, to the panelists, follow them on LinkedIn. Go follow them. Go find their names. Write their names down. Ask some questions and get some insight from them. They are a wealth of knowledge. And with that said, I bid you all adieu. Until next time.
Goodbye. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you guys. Have a phenomenal day and an exceptional week or weekend.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye,
Take care.
everyone.